The second game of the round, the Waratahs and the Highlanders. Obviously, the Tars are going to bounce back, absolutely smash the Highlanders. It's a Friday night game in Sydney, so we'll all be there. Nelson will be at least 17 beers deep before kickoff in his VIP suite. New injuries to report on this one. We've got Tom Lambert did his knee and HJH had a concussion, so we'll see how he goes with his return to play protocol. Highlanders, no new injuries to report from that Force game last week. Returning, the entire Waratahs team returning. Michael Hooper, Wallabies rest. Lalakai Feketi and Mark Nwanganitawase, all from Wallabies rest. Langy Gleeson from a calf, although they have said every week for the last 3 weeks that he'd be coming back from his calf niggle, so this must be a really tender calf. Archer Holtz from a rib injury. Tian Chukapulu, definitely butchered. Yeah, thank you. Knee. Ned Flanagan from concussion, Parecki concussion, and Hugh Sinclair is a possibility to come back from a shoulder.
Mate, can I just straight off the bat name my lineup? Faulkner, Parecki, HJH, Holloway, Hannigan, Seal, Hooper, Gleeson, Gordon Donaldson in the centres, Feketi Parisi, Peach Nwanganitawase, and Jorgensen at fullback. Mate, that is a completely different team to last week, and that is a lot more threatening.
It is, and I like the sounds of it.
And you got Chuck Holtz on the bench as well. That's threatening.
Yeah.
We've got Gamble. He might find himself with a start if Hannigan could end up being on the bench as utility. Chuck Seo in the locks. Bring Gamble into that starting lineup as well off the bench last week.
I love that you could whatever your lineups are include CU starting. It's a big win for me. Big fan of that. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is a much better looking side. And yeah, look, just again, let's look at some stats to really boost up our confidence here of the Tars. The Tars won this matchup last year, 32-20. And, I mean, it's just, I think they're looking for a bigger win this week round, this in round 10. And both teams, really are desperate for a win, a chance of a top 8 finish alive. But, so as you alluded to earlier, this is really probably the most crucial game of the season for both of these teams, really. It's going to be a defining game.
It's a funny one. Like the Tars we talked about needing to kickstart their season and that I think the Force, comprehensive win felt like that. And then after the injuries and the resting protocols, it felt like that disappeared against the Blues. A close match could have kept that feeling alive, but this is another start for the Tars where they really need to pull something out here. They then go on the trot against the Reds in Queensland, Fiji and Drua before they've got the Crusaders and then Moana Pacifica. So if they get a win here, they could get 3 or 4 wins before the end of the year. And it could really push them up that ladder. Or things could just keep spiraling for them. I think something they lacked last week was a bit of oomph, mate. A bit of oomph, a bit of spark and attack, something to spur them on. And I think Feketi and Nwanganitawase are 2 big men for them to get that rolling over this week.
2 blokes that provide plenty of impetus. I agree. Plenty of spark. Did you say in your lineup? Sorry, because again I somehow tuned out a little bit. Did you have Gleeson starting today?
Yeah, mate.
You did. Yeah. No, I'm just pumped to see Gleeson back. I think it feels like it's now been enough weeks that you've almost forgotten about how good he was. 3 or 4 weeks ago, but. Mate, he was one of the best players in Super Rugby in those 2 weeks he was playing. That I still just can't get over the game at Super Round when I was down there in Melbourne watching him play against the Drua in an incredibly physical battle. He was the only Tar absolutely smashing everyone, and I was frothing on it all day. I was there for it. So,
mate, we love him, and he brings the aggression without the red cards or the potential red cards that Swinton does.
That's it.
I think something for the Tars here is also something that's pivotal for them is Ben Donaldson. Dono, if he can find some form, because he's been struggling of late, but the thought process and the talk was that he'd been shifted to fullback. He hadn't had consistent game time at 10, and now he's getting it. Edmund's still out, so he's getting that run at 10, and he really needs to take this chance. He's, in my book, clearly fallen down the ladder in the Wallaby squad. From being close to being in the World Cup squad, I'd be picking Gordon over him every day of the week. I'd be concerned with other young players coming in as well. So he needs to find some form, and I think what he needs to do is actually attack the line. Build a bit of confidence ball in hand, because that's something we've seen him do, play flat, attack the line. With Hunt coming up against him, Hunt's not a big body, and Hunt is not necessarily a physical defender. He's not a bad defender, but he's not a physical defender. So, target him a little bit, stay away from Thomas Umaga-Jensen. You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
If he's run out, you just kick it. Kick it or throw it to Nawang and Irawasi.
I agree with you. I think we want to see some of that attacking flair. We've seen it in patches from Dono, but it's been a while. So I think this is a great game for him to really have a crack.
Yeah, he's definitely going to find some form. And on the Highlanders front, Paul Cully on Twitter has stated that Smith, Fakatava, Nareki are all joining the team in Sydney. Yes, mate, Nareki is finding his way over to Sydney. With the next game back at Forsyth Bar Stadium, mate, surely we see Nareki in some capacity if he's coming over.
That's huge, because I actually had thought that they had said, they'd said maybe round 11. I thought they'd said he won't even be in for round 11. I thought we were looking round 12.
No, the last I heard was maybe for around 11, and then they saw themselves play last week, and they said, fuck it, get that man on the field.
Yeah, well, he's someone that people may have forgotten. It's been that long since we've seen him play. It was probably 2 years ago, but wow, he's absolute lightning. So, and they are in desperate need of just an absolute standout outside back. No, I don't want to shit on the current Highlanders outside backs. Gilbert's been very good, but I mean, Nareki's just your first pick on that team all day. So that will be huge. He
is a dangerous man. So my fantasy side, I want him to start, but as a Waratahs fan, I want him to bench or not play. But yeah, look, the Highlanders, they need to change something. They've been struggling. Nareki could be something to spark that change. But one of the big things for them is they just give away silly penalties, mate. Like last week, I don't know if I did see the stat. It was some ridiculous amount of ones in the first half. Frustrating to see. So they need to tidy that up for sure.
That's it. And I think one way they'll do that is they were really missing Aaron Smith. So you expect, obviously, Fakatava and Aaron Smith back there. You expect to run out Smith to start and just to calm everyone down and make good decisions. I think they really kind of missed that leadership from him. So that's certainly one thing they're going to do. And you're right. I guess around the set piece, their scrum will be very good. The line-out, like you said, line-out was awful against the Force, despite having, they've got the cattle there. So if Dixon's back, but they've got Parry, Dixon. Even Fabian Holland was massive. I didn't realize how big he is when he was last week.
Look, I'm not sure if Dixon's back or not. Look, I think it was family bereavement. Obviously, his brother, is it? That's unwell with cancer. I feel like that's what it was. So yeah, look, he needs his time. He deserves his time, and if he's stayed in New Zealand, that's fair enough. But he is an important cog of that forward pack and that line out. Holland as well. Those two guys are good line out jumpers. Dixon's the director there. So if you were to bring those two in, I think that's a big change for them.
Absolutely. I think apart from the battle up front and the set piece and discipline, as we talked about, I think the real battle in this game, the game breakers for me, if you will be Thomas Umaga-Jensen, Tudge, who's just been absolutely crushing it. So it's how can he play and how can the Tars contain him? And similarly, someone we've finally seen come back in the last 2 weeks, Izzy Parisi was absolutely lighting up the last 2 weeks. He had a very, very quiet start of the season, we think, coming back, maybe a little bit worried from his knee injury, but man, is he back. So I'm really looking forward to see whilst it's 12 and 13, they're not directly lined up against each other. I'm looking forward to see both of those impact players and how they
love
work.
it.
So,
mate, I'll go out on the limb for the tip here. Mate, we're going to see three Aussie wins in a row. Fuck yeah, this is in Australia. So, look, I only say this because it's against the Highlanders. Sorry, Highlanders. But they're just not informed. Tars are not informed. But that was there's much more positives coming in probably in terms of numbers for the Tars, I'd say this week. In their homes as well, comfortable in their own beds. I think it'll be enough for the Tars in their very cool Indigenous jersey. I don't know if you've bought it, if you care about Australia, our natives and, the Waratahs, but me and Harry both bought one. So I'm going to say the Tars are going to win this. and I'm going to say they're going to win it. Give me out 10 points.
Nice. Well, I am certainly also going to back the Tars, and I now wish that I could undo my previous tip and go back and tip the Canes because I can't just be tipping all the Aussie teams. But no, I'm going to tip the Tars, and yeah, I reckon we'll get it done. You've said by 10. I can't believe I'm going a low lie. I'll just go 9, so I'll just take 0 to 9 there. I'll give you the rest of it.
Mate, there is no outliers when there's two people.